Prime.
19th of May 2015. Hello, welcome to Joy News Prime. My name is Gifty Andopia, and remember the news is also available on ABN TV across Europe. Let's take a look at our headlines tonight. And the Judicial Service Staff Association of Ghana declares an indefinite nationwide strike over unpaid allowances. President John Mahama charges ECOWAS Commission to seriously take up unemployment issues in the sub-region. And the Institute of Economic Affairs says business performance has worsened over the past 6 months. Again, executives of the Greater Accra Regional Branch of the opposition, NPP, reject reports by an appeals committee set up to probe disputes arising from the just-ended vetting of parliamentary aspirants. And Employment and Labour Relations Minister held closed-door meetings with management of ADB and UNICOF over sale of the bank. Those are the headlines. Please stay with us for some more. Oh, Sarah, this is fun. Let's go into the details now. Employment and Labour Relations Minister Haruna Iddrisu has been holding meetings with management of the Agricultural Development Bank and the Union of Industrial and Commercial Workers, UNICOF. Joy News has lent the closed-door meeting aims at ironing out preliminary issues to allow for smooth investigations into the sale of ADB. Attempts by management to sell the bank met fierce resistance from workers. The bank has started investigations. The Bank of Ghana has started investigations into the matter, including suspicion by UNICOF that the ADB boss might influence the investigations if he remains at post. Aisha Ibrahim has been monitoring the meeting and report a number of issues have come up. Hello, Aisha. All right, Aisha, what more can you report at this point?
Well, I must say that it has been a baton for the Minister for Employment and Labour Relations to get the two parties, I mean management of the Agric Development Bank and the union, to agree on a number of issues. We're not allowed to take part of the meeting because it was in camera, but the information we get is that there are a lot of issues that have come up prior to the investigations of the Bank of Ghana. And so they want to iron out those issues and find solutions to those issues so that it can enable a smooth investigation by the Bank of Ghana. Negotiations took a very long time, almost 4 hours, and then it became very difficult for them to make some commitments. As I stand here, we're waiting for the Minister for Labour Relations to brief us on the outcome of the meeting. And it's been difficult, but we know we will get him.
Are you able to tell us some of the issues that you say have come up?
Unfortunately, the only issue I got information about is the fact that the union does not have any confidence in the outcome of the Bank of Ghana because of the Bank of Ghana investigation, because their demand for their boss to be removed has not been done, and so they suspect that their boss could have some influence in that investigation. But as to how they handled that matter in the issue in the meeting, we're yet to know from the minister.
Thank you very much, Aisha Ibrahim, and I'm sure that you're monitoring the event, so as and when anything comes up, we'll definitely come over to you for that information. That was Aisha Ibrahim, who's monitoring a meeting that's currently ongoing between management of ADB and UNICOF, and of course with the help of the Labour Relations Minister Haruna Iddrisu there. We'll get back to the story if there's anything coming up on it. For now, the hundreds of disgruntled trainee nurses who pitched camp at the Independence Square on Monday morning have left to Dunkwa-on-Ofen in the central region. The trainee nurses were protesting their unpaid allowances. However, they're warning they would return next week Thursday if government fails to address their grievances.
We will return to Accra if we do not get any response from the authorities soon. We are serious.
Reassurance, no. We need paperwork this time around. We are students, so we need paperwork from the authorities.
On Monday, the trainee nurses were bused from Dunkwa Onofin in the central region to Accra to demand answers for the delay in payment of allowance arrears spanning 3 years. They spent the night on the compound of the Health Ministry, where Sector Minister Alex Segbefia assured them of his determination to resolve the impasse. The Public Relations Officer of the Ministry of Health also gave a similar assurance to the nurses.
Coming here is more loudest than anything else. Minister now sure. So you do. Next time, so bad. One and no better thing. One not sure. It's not done. So you just have to give the benefit. You understand? That is all you just have to do. Minister will take office day one. No, no other day. It's really happens. Yeah, it's never done. The first day, it's never done. That tells you, sir, he's passionate. He's passionate about it. Or someone actually know what is in the house. You understand? So that is enough. So I expect you to just go, keep contacting us. Masa, what do you? Masa, where are you? Now I'm threatening like you see.
However, the nurses are not happy with the verbal assurance. They are demanding a formal document to that effect.
So essentially what Tony Goodman was telling them was that the minister has taken note of your issues, as you've put it. You coming here to Accra is in itself is enough, is pronouncement enough for us to take action. So he's promising them that the minister just came into office and is going to work to address their issues. Well, let's move on now. And the Judicial Service Staff Association of Ghana has declared an indefinite nationwide strike. President of the association, who made the announcement, said their decision is as a result of unpaid allowances. He says the amount owed members amounts to about 16 million Ghana cedis.
The association says efforts to retrieve the allowances, which have been in arrears since the first quarter of 2014, have all proved futile. They stressed several meetings to get government to respond to their concerns have all not yielded the desired result. The national president of JUSAG, Alex Nati, says after unsuccessful meetings with the Employment Ministry, they have no choice but to declare the strike.
The appeal was that the promises given us that today we will hear something concrete could not materialize. And that they are asking us to come back to you to ask for an extension of time. Because JUSAG is not a sole proprietor and an association and or a union of a membership up to over 5,000 nationwide, I had to come back and give you this update. I'm therefore here to announce to you that I do hereby declare a strike.
The strike, which takes immediate effect, exempts security personnel of the association.
I expect all of you to operate professionally and carefully. However, because we are shareholders of the Judicial Service and we have a huge stake in the property and the image of the Judicial Service, security men are hereby directed to be at post nationwide. Even though you are the worst hit and the most disappointed, I believe because of your trust in me, you comply with this directive. Come around, be at post at every court premises nationwide and protect our properties.
Some members of the association says the decision is long overdue.
Well, it comes to me as a relief because this is an issue that for some time now we've been expecting. So for me, yes, why not? I'm so happy about it.
Beginning May 2015, members of the Judicial Service Staff Association of Ghana says they will not return to work until government makes full payment of the allowances owed them. According to the association, government owes members close to the tune of 16 million Ghana cedis. Until these monies reflect in the account, they are not going to resume work. For Joy News, Matilda Apomaga, Accra.
Now, a major debate opened in Parliament on Tuesday after the majority MPs began a push to have the Speaker declare the Talensi seat in the House vacant. It started after Majority Chief Whip Alhaji Mohamed Mubarak Muntaka drew the attention of the House to recent news report that the MP for Talensi, Robert Mazuri Nachinab, has been elevated to the status of paramount chief for Talensi. Citing the relevant provisions of the 1992 Constitution, the Aswase legislator argued that the New Patriotic Party's Member of Parliament's continuous stay in office as lawmaker after having been made a paramount chief offends the Ghanaian law. He further argued that Robert Mansouri should do the honourable thing by resigning, but the minority MPs argued otherwise. Deputy Minority Chief Whip Ignatius Bafo Ewa insisted that the Talensi MP should not be sacked until claims that he had been elevated to the status of paramount chief had been substantiated.
So we have to be officially informed. Mr. Speaker, I'm not aware that your good self has been informed of any such scheming. Mr. Speaker, we have to avoid a situation where we will come here and then instead of talking of facts, we'll be playing to the ground. Mr. Speaker, if the honourable member is sure of what he is saying, he should produce evidence of that. We are law-abiding people. We cannot go against the constitution of this nation. If it is proven that indeed the honourable member has been made a chief, Mr. Speaker, we will all support what the constitution says. Until that is done, I cannot see myself agreeing to what he has said.
So that was Deputy Minority Chief Whip there. We can also hear from the Majority Chief Whip Alhaji Mubarak Muntaka speaking on this particular issue.
Or enschemed or installed as a chief or queen mother in accordance with the relevant customary law and usage. Mr. Speaker, I'm saying this in relation to one of our colleagues. Mr. Speaker, my colleague, Honorable Missouri Robert, you are among the MPs for Talensi. Mr. Speaker, it started like DSA. We've all seen it on national television and in the media that our colleague has been enschemed a chief. Mr. Speaker, the reason why I read the constitutional provision is the impression people creating that unless it's gazetted, the Constitution never mentions the issue of it has to be gazetted. And Mr. Speaker, the whole of last week, if you observe from the vote of procedure, our colleague was absent in the House. Mr. Speaker, I thought and I think that morally, as a matter of conscience, our colleague, and as a matter of principle, our colleague knowing very well that he's going through and he's not being enschemed, should not wait for this to even be raised. Should do the honourable thing because he wants to now say, in my opinion, in a higher capacity, of being a paramount chief. And it should be seen that this colleague will want to do what is honorable. But simply resigning. Mr. Speaker, the whole of last week he was not in this house. He never sought permission. And Mr. Speaker, I think that if all of us could take emotions out and confront the issue, he's becoming a chief, we congratulate him, but he must do what is honorable by resigning and vacating his seat. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
So that's Majority Chief Whip there, Alhaji Muttaka Mubarak in Parliament. Now, President John Mahama has charged the ECOWAS Commission to seriously take up the issue of youth unemployment in the sub-region. He said the problem of youth unemployment, if not addressed in the region, will have dire consequences on each country. The President was addressing the ongoing 47th Ordinary Session of the ECOWAS Authority of Heads of State and Government in Accra on Tuesday.
Touting the contribution of ECOWAS to the region's growth and development, President John Mahama said there has been an increase in trade and free movement across the borders of the West African sub-region thanks to ECOWAS.
One of the major challenges facing our sub-region, and not only our sub-region, but indeed the whole of the world, is the issue of youth and jobs. And it is my hope that the ECOWAS Commission would take up this issue as an issue for discussion, because the challenge of job creation for young people is going to be a challenge that faces every single country in our sub-region. It is a situation that faces even the developed countries, and especially for Africa, considering that we have the fastest growing youth population. Young people are leaving school at every level of the educational system and are coming out in the hope that they can find jobs. Is going to be a major challenge for us. And so I believe that special attention must be paid to this particular problem. The youth bulge is both an advantage to our continent and also a danger if we are not able to handle it properly in the terms of providing jobs for the increasing number of youths who are coming onto the job market. And so it's my hope that this will be an issue that we put up for discussion, and it's my hope that the next summit would, at its major theme, concentrate on the issue of job creation and the youth in our sub-region.
He said in the past, nationals had to apply for entry visas and waited for weeks to be issued with the visas before they could travel to neighboring countries. But that has become a thing of the past with the establishment of ECOWAS. President John Mahama applauded Nigeria and Togo for organizing peaceful elections in their various countries. President Mahama commended Nigerian President Goodluck Jonathan for showing matured statesmanship and accepting the outcome of the elections that saw Muhammadu Buhari emerged winner.
Still on the ECOWAS meeting, President Mahama also touched on the harm that has been caused by Boko Haram. He says the fight to get Boko Haram out of Nigeria is far from over.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, last year Nigeria and Cameroon were caught in the grips of terrible attacks and atrocities by the terror group Boko Haram. They freely attacked with impunity and abducted hundreds of women and children. The atrocities of this group have remained unsurpassed by any terrorist group anywhere in the world. Slaughters, beheading, torture, rape, abduction, bombings, looting, and destruction of property have been the hallmark of this terrorist group. The people, especially of northeastern Nigeria, were subjected to a reign of terror. Today, thanks to the African Union and the multinational joint task force formed by the Lake Chad Basin countries, a lot of progress has been made in the fight against Boko Haram. We are pleased to note the success in liberating territories under Boko Haram domination and the release of more than 1,000 people, mostly women and children. The fight is, however, far from over. We have not yet secured the release of the young Chibok girls, and Boko Haram has shown that it still has the capacity to counter-attack. On behalf of ECOWAS, I wish to thank the leadership of the Economic Community of Central African States, ECAS, for their support and contribution to this fight.
You're watching Joy News Prime here on Joy News on Multi TV and also on ABN TV across Europe. There's still more ahead in the bulletin after this. Please stay with us. You're welcome back and many thanks for staying. Executives of the Greater Accra Regional Branch of the New Patriotic Party have rejected a report by an appeals committee set up to probe dispute arising from the just-ended vetting of parliamentary aspirant. Kwache Afreniama has more.
After the party concluded its vetting 2 weeks ago, parliamentary aspirants from 7 constituencies petitioned the regional secretariat. The petitions were mainly from MP hopefuls who had been disqualified. The Accra branch of the opposition party then set up an appeals committee. The terms of reference of the committee was to review the disputed decisions of the vetting committee. But after 3 days of crucial deliberations and submission of their reports, Regional Chairman Ishmael Ashite says they failed to do a good job.
The Regional Steering Committee have decided to reject the report. There is a lot of inconsistencies, a lot of mistakes here and there that we feel should not allow this report to stand. So we are rejecting the report.
Ishmael Ashite cites the example of how the committee made contradictory recommendations on an aspirant at Tema East constituency.
The regional executive put his clearance on hold as a result of a petition submitted by the constituency executive to restrain him from contesting the primaries because of an allegation of the aspirant being a member of TAME. The regional chairman confirmed to the appeals committee that the aspirant has produced the attestation, a copy which was given to the committee for perusal. Based on the facts available, the committee had no option but to confirm the recommendation of the vetting committee. Now let's look at the recommendation of the appeals committee on the same aspirant. Tema is Mr. Benjamin Ashite. Mr. Ashite could not be cleared because of our reservation regarding his membership to TESCOM. You see the contradiction.
The Greater Accra Regional Chair says they have now abandoned earlier plans to present the appeals committee's report to the National Executive Committee of the party.
There is one other opportunity available. The National Steering Committee will be meeting very soon to also look at our report to them, the National Executive. And this should have been the report that will have allowed them to look at. But as we are withdrawing this one, it means now they are going to deal with the vetting committee's report and not this one, because of the inconsistencies, the contradictions that are here.
The opposition party's National Executive Committee is expected to meet soon to deliberate on the matter. Kwache Afreniama reports for Joy News.
Meanwhile, the New Patriotic Party's vice presidential candidate, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, has climaxed his 2-day tour of the Upper West region with the commissioning of a regional secretariat for the party. He also held a rally to drum home the policies and programs that the party will be pursuing should they win the 2016 election. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia reiterated an earlier call to supporters of the party to join hands to vote what he called the corrupt, uncaring and incompetent NDC government out of power.
Everywhere in this economy that we have looked for relief from this government, we have seen more pain and more hardship. Of course, this government is only a social democratic government in name only, in propaganda only. But in reality, the type of socialism that they are practicing is known as a confirmed socialism. It is the type of socialism that you see with SADA, corruption, that you see with Wyoming, corruption, you see with Waterville, corruption, you see with Suba, corruption, you see with National Service, corruption, those workers, corruption. Everywhere it's corruption. And that is a confirmed socialism for you. This is not the type of government we want in this country.
Abigail Adumako Entry is standing by with some business news, but before that, let's do a very quick one. The business performance has worsened over the past 6 months. That's according to a business confidence survey report conducted by the Institute of Economic Affairs, IEA. They say the cost of credit, energy and forex exchange are the 3 main factors pulling businesses down. Senior research fellow at the IEA, Dr. John Kwachi, says the survey paints a gloomy picture for businesses for the next 6 months.
To the IEA, the survey looked at the agricultural sector, industry and services sector.
In terms of coverage across regions, we concentrated on Greater Accra, East, Western and Ashanti. Maybe we may need to extend it. I'll be surprised if there are very serious differences between the results of our survey and others. But that will certainly surprise. It should surprise all of us, not only us. I mean, if the AGI sees that we're coming out with results different from what their survey is coming out with, of course, then we should begin to ask questions whether, how reliable, these results are.
Senior research fellow at the IEA, Dr. John Kwachi, explains the business environment has deteriorated, and that is as a result of lack of fiscal discipline on the part of government.
The high cost of living, yes, but we have to get fiscal discipline in place. And we believe that the IMF program is a start, although we didn't need to go to the IMF. But as my colleague said, it looks like in this country, when we are on our own, we can't discipline ourselves until we go to the Bretton Woods institutions that impose fiscal discipline on us. And then when we leave them, we go back to our old bad ways. So please take it from here that it is lack of fiscal discipline which is driving Bank of Ghana to do the things that we do.
The survey confirms the first quarter barometer report from the Association of Ghana Industries, which also reports a dip in business confidence.
Economist Dr. John Gachi has described as unrealistic the recommendations by the Institute of Economic Affairs for government to provide relief for struggling businesses. A business confidence survey by the IEA, the survey we're talking about actually indicated 34% of companies laid off workers in the first 6 months of this year, and majority of these companies cited the energy crisis and high taxes as major challenges that they face. Among the recommendations to reverse this trend, the IEA wants government to institute measures to bring relief to businesses, reduce unemployment and ensure a stable macroeconomic environment for growth. But speaking on today's big story, Dr. Gachi said these recommendations are unrealistic considering that Ghana's current economic challenges are enormous.
Well, I think it's a good recommendation, but it is not realistic in the times in which we are. What is realistic, a limited number of solar panels that have been promised will be distributed to some small businesses across the country. Look at the finances of the country. I doubt if the country will be in position to provide all those support that have been recommended in the survey. So they are good recommendations. For example, if you take the macroeconomic state, it will take time for the macroeconomic stability to establish. Perhaps we will see some signs getting to the third quarter of this year. But in order to have a hold on macroeconomic stability, that will take some time. And if we have a clear macro stability in the country, that itself would drive some of the things that they are talking about. If macro stability results in reduction in interest rate, reduction in inflation, and then stability in exchange rate, that itself will be a good incentive for business activities in the country.
So, Dr. Gachi, something like a tax holidays and other tax incentives, you think that the country's economic status now cannot sustain these?
Well, those are laudable ideas, but as I said, they are not things that can practically be implemented. It is easy to design those recommendations, but I doubt if those things can be implemented, because you are even talking at a time that you need to mobilize more tax revenue. to solve some of your problems, and at the same time, there is a recommendation that you should cut some taxes for people so that they can. What people need is resolution to the energy problem.
Well, Abigail Makwenchi, as I indicated earlier, is standing by with Business News. Please stay. Here comes the time for business now. Abigail, what's trending in the world of business?
Well, looks like it's not a good time for businesses. Well, IE is painting a gloomy picture in the next 6 months already. And
I don't want to assume that you have some more bad news in the business segment today.
There have been a lot of reactions, and the Association of Ghana Industries, they are reacting to the fuel price increment.
Well, let's hear that.
Let's get the details now. And the Association of Ghana Industries has described government's decision to increase fuel price by 9% as unfortunate and inhumane. National Executive Member of AGI, Nora Bannerman, tells Joy Business the timing for the upward adjustment is bad.
I think it's coming at a very unfortunate time. This is a time when we thought, when I say a time, this is a period when businesses are reeling under the effects of the energy crisis, and we were looking forward to government offering certain reliefs to the manufacturing sector, to businesses in general. Increase in fuel prices means increase in cost of production, because the majority of us are dependent on generators to generate energy when there's a lack of it. And, you know, our recent business barometer survey, when I say our, AGI's recent business barometer survey, shows that costs of energy to most businesses using generators is now 6 times what it would have cost using hydro energy or energy supplied by ECG. So it's rather unfortunate. So there seems to be a disconnect between government and the private sector, you know, business sector. But these two should have been in collaboration for an economy to grow.
Addressed the nation on Wednesday, May 20, on government's debt management initiatives. He is expected to also talk about the International Monetary Fund IMF bailout program, its implications for Ghana, as well as initiatives on compensation, among others. This was contained in a press release. Ghana's debt stock stands at 88.2 million cedis, according to figures from the Bank of Ghana. At the end of March 2015, the country's current total public sector debt stock had risen to about 88.2 million Ghana cedis. The figure represents 65.3% of the country's gross domestic product, and that's the GDP. We'll be bringing you updates of what the minister says, but away from economy issues, partner with the PricewaterhouseCoopers, Vish Eshiabo, has called on government and business owners to consider structural reforms in the wake of the economic crisis. Speaking to Joy Business, Vish Eshiabo indicated the IMF program will make no difference if government does not reconsider the need to explore opportunities the economic challenges bring for growth.
Now have the opportunity to undergo some fundamental, for want of a better word, restructuring, put ourselves on a better footing, so that going forward we stand stronger, or we stand firmer. So I think from a business perspective, whenever you hit a difficulty, it's a chance for you to reflect and to restructure and to revitalize, and therefore to put yourself in a stronger position going forward. And I think a lot of that is happening now, not just at the government level, at the macro level, but even, you know, businesses at the micro level are also thinking about how to, for example, diversify perhaps their over-reliance on, let's say, electricity, given the challenges that we have, how to manage with maybe scarcity in supply chain, how to manage with skill shortages, etc., etc. So I think within challenge, there's always opportunity.
A coalition of youth groups and customers of DKM Microfinance Company appealing to the Bank of Ghana to withdraw the moratorium placed on the institution by the Bank of Ghana. They say the suspension must be lifted to avert a looming national disaster.
Bank of Ghana and DKM fallout as crucial national issue with diverse catastrophic dimensions on countless facets of life. Should the moratorium and its directives be implemented, the repercussions shall be enormous but not limited to: 1. Disruption of the agricultural season and its result of a looming famine in the Brong-Ahafo region and the 3 regions of the north. It is common knowledge that the above-mentioned regions contribute significantly to the aggregate food deposits of this country. Proceeding with the 90 days moratorium DKM microfinance will have a negative toll on farming, since the customers who are majorly farmers will not have access to their monies to enable them catch up with the farming season which has just set in. It is sad to know that just the 1-week implementation of the moratorium has left thousands in depression and serious psychological trauma. People's lives are endangered, as withholding their lifetime fortunes will leave thousands more in irreparable mental attacks. Businesses and families have come to a standstill, as many are those whose livelihood is frozen in this moratorium. We appeal that a much more lenient stance be adopted in amicably resolving the DKM Bank of Ghana fallout. For the benefit of Mother Ghana and the relief of the teeming Ghanaians whose livelihood is locked up, we passionately appeal for the immediate withdrawal of the Bank of Ghana moratorium whilst negotiation goes on between DKM Microfinance and the Bank of Ghana to enable innocent customers have access to their monies.
That'll be all for business. My name is Abigail Adomakoentri. For more updates, do log on to myjoyonline.com. Gifty Ando Apia joins us with more.
Government has announced the disbursement of a $156 million facility for second cycle institutions across the country. The World Bank facility is targeted at improving secondary education, especially in rural Ghana. The facility, according to a Deputy Minister of Education, will benefit 10,400 students in 50 deprived secondary schools in the country. The Deputy Minister revealed this at Dofo Senior High School in the Volta region.
We're happy to announce to the nation that all the hard work has paid off, and the $156 million secondary education improvement project for the Republic of Ghana is signed, sealed, and delivered. This secondary education improvement project has 4 components. The first component is scholarships to 10,400 students in our second cycle institutions in deprived communities. There is a rigorous criteria which we have agreed with the World Bank to follow. I want to emphasize that this criteria has nothing to do with the fact that I am MP for this area. All the senior high schools in the North Tongue district qualify under the established criteria. Dofo Senior High, Aveime Bato Senior High, Bato Senior High, Mefa St. Kizito Technical Secondary School all qualify under the World Bank criteria because you meet the selection criteria which was put together by the team of experts. I also want to stress that this scholarship package is going to 10,400 students across the country. The agreement we have with the World Bank is that 60% of the scholarship recipients will be female. And that is why today you can see that we have more females here as recipients than males. So we are meeting the criteria which we agreed amongst ourselves. I want to say that you must consider yourself very privileged to be receiving these scholarships, because you did not put in an application. I do not know who your parents are. I do not know where you live. This is not one of those things you can describe as, oh, it's whom you know. It is the constituency organizer's daughter or the constituency NDC constituency chairman's son, because they voted for the MP or they were campaign manager for the MP. That is why you are receiving this scholarship. As ministers, we stayed away from the process and allowed the technical team, both the technical team from the Ministry of Education, Ghana Education Service, and the technical team from the World Bank, to map out the criteria and to do the selection.
George Addo Jr. is standing by with some sports news.
Football is on our agenda this evening, and Coach Maxwell Konadu has named a strong 20-man squad for the 2015 COSAFA Cup. That includes some key players of the senior team like goalkeepers Fatal Dauda and Stephen Adams. The list includes the Premier League's leading scorer Nathaniel Samoa and is dominated by players from the league leaders Ashanti Gold and title holders Asante Kotoko. The home-based national team have been invited as guest nation to the tournament meant for Southern African nations. Chairman of the local Black Stars Management Committee, Fred Papo, tells Joy Sports he's confident the final squad will do a good job.
Absolutely, I think they are about one of the best sets we have now in the country. It's unfortunate about three or four of them couldn't make it into the last squad, and that's quite unfortunate because they are equally good. But then we can only go with 20 players as per the regulations of the tournament, but those are still very much part of the team. Our target is to play as excellently as we can, and we're quite hopeful by the grace of God we'll be able to come up with a very credible showing. They've gone through very interesting and very highly technical training regimes under the guidance of Coach Maxwell Konadu and the staff. They've really picked up very well, and even when they are released to play for their clubs, you see it in their kind of play. So I only hope they will be able to carry it into the tournament and then feel very proud and give off more once they are wearing the national colours. So that's where the difference is. So we'll be leaving the shores of Ghana hopefully on the 21st of this month, that is Thursday, and then we hope to arrive by God's grace on Friday morning in Johannesburg, and I'm sure we'll be picked straight to our base in Rustenburg where the team will be based. Also, once we get there, I'm sure in the evening we'll start with our training, get used to the place, and then play our first game on the 25th of this month, that is coming Monday.
Now, Ghana will face the winner of Group B, which contains Lesotho, Madagascar, Swaziland and Tanzania, the quarterfinal stage. And now we can do some more about the Black Stars players. And of course, the Ghana Football Association says it's yet to receive a reported apology from AC Milan star Suleiman Tari following his indefinite suspension from the national team. Widespread media reports in Ghana suggested that the Italy-based midfielder had sent a relative to deliver the letter to the GFA on Monday to pave the way for the suspension to be lifted. The report claimed that he actually sent an unnamed relative to deliver that to the Ghana Football Association, but they have denied all of this. Sani Jara is the FA spokesperson.
Up till now, we've not received any letter of apology from Suleiman Tari. As we've consistently said, every Ghanaian who's a football player is a Ghanaian, unless the person makes himself available if something like that of the Suleiman Tari hits the person. So until such a time that Muntari brings an apology, he remains suspended. But if he brings an apology, he's available for Ghana. And then that is that the coach would have to make a decision whether to invite him for a match.
More suspension on Black Stars players, and Court of Arbitration for Sport has upheld a football ban for Ghana defender Jonathan Mensah following his transfer from Udinese. Udinese claimed Mensah's transfer to French side Evian in 2011 was illegal, as he was still under contract with the Italian club, despite claiming to be a free agent. The 4-month ban started on April 30, 2015, but the football world's governing body FIFA has clarified how it will work and says that he has an opportunity to play the Africa Cup of Nations in 2017. The qualifiers, we'll see how that goes in. We end with Dede Ayew, and Dede Ayew has hinted Italy or England could be his next destination. The Marseille man capped his 10-year stay in France by annexing the Best African Player of the Season award, of course, on Monday. And many clubs are on alert for the signature of this young chap.
African properties, and on Monday he won an award for being the best African player in France. Long famous for being the son of Ghanaian great Abedi Pele, Andre Dede Ayew has been carving out his own career in recent times. He's set to leave Marseille at the end of the season following 11 years with the club, and his future is the subject of feverish speculation. Ayew says himself that he's interested in clubs from England, Italy and Germany. So which does he prefer?
I like England a lot. It's, I think, for me, the best league in the world. I also like Italy. So, you know, I'll sit down, I'm looking at the offers, taking my time. I just want to finish the season well on Saturday. And after that, you know, I'll think about my future.
That's your sport tonight. I'm George Adder Jr. Giti standing by. Do stay in for more.